Okay, welcome to the call. The group class today, April 26th. And got a great call lined up here. Got some questions and going to get going. More people joining us here. Give me one second while I. Jeff Allen. Who's this? Hmm, one moment here. Let's see. Who's this? Jeff Allen? Who made this?
I work with Amanda Fuel.
Sorry, who do you work with? Sorry, Jeff?
Amanda Fuel, Conscious Business Connection.
Oh, hey, Jeff. Hey, welcome. That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, great to have you here. Welcome to the call. Okay, it's
Perfect, thank you.
And I trust Amanda will be joining us, and we'll get her here as well. There she is. How about that? Okay, wonderful. And welcome to the call, Amanda, as well. You just joined us as well. And I'll give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourself here pretty soon as well. Okay, but I just want to welcome you to the call, and great to have you here. Awesome. Okay, and for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sunil Bhaskaran, and I lead the Global Meetup Mastermind here. And I will explain everything, and all will be revealed very soon. All right, and great to have you here again. And as more people join us, I'll get them on the call. Again, firstly, I just want to welcome new members, and we'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves here pretty soon as well. I know Amanda and Jeff are here just checking out this particular call. I give them special permission to do so, and they're doing some really great stuff. And so I thought I'd introduce them in a spirit of creating partnership and more promotions for people and having big wins for everybody involved. So I thought it would be really great to have them here. Let me explain how the office hours work. You want to send in your coaching requests in advance. If you do, you can also bring them to the call, but I try to do it on a first come first served basis. So the sooner you get your request in, the better. On these calls, we'll be coordinating connections for the Global Meetup Mastermind. And for those of you who don't know, the Global Meetup Mastermind is how we connect people on a global basis to collaborate with their meetups to build their audiences. And you know what I'm actually going to be doing, just a quick aside here, is actually I'm going to be expanding the function of the Global Meetup Mastermind, actually take out the word meetup and have it be the Global Mastermind. Because what I'm finding is actually a more expansive vision is beginning to formulate. Because who's coming into my sphere are much bigger visionaries who are not just using Meetup, but other forms as well. Not just businesses, but also people who are up to making a bigger difference. Well, I should say it's not bigger difference. They're up to making a big difference in the world in other areas, not just business, but really in helping this planet be a better place to live, for example. But we will be coordinating connections for the Global Mastermind. And recordings for this call will be available within a day or so. And if it's longer than that, it's because we need to edit stuff out or we need to fix certain audio problems, etc. You must show up within 10 minutes. If not, it's probably going to be me from now on leading these calls. But if Bill's leading the call for whatever reason, he will also end the call if nobody shows up within a 10 minutes. We've never been forced into doing that, but that's just the rule right now. And then we'll go until time's up, which is typically an hour and a half, so 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, or we run out of questions, whichever's earlier. And now, if your meetups are not producing numbers, we want to know, and so we can help you. So definitely bring those questions to the call. If I cannot handle the call because it's more of a personal, if it's an issue related to you more so than the group, then I'll try and set up an individual call with you to get that going. Okay. We do have training videos, and I try not to inundate you, unlike a lot of other programs where they give you a huge website with all kinds of videos. Kind of gets overwhelming. I try to drip those videos to you on an as needed basis, but we are working out a deal. I should take this out. We're not working with Kajabi so much. I think I'm leaning more towards Positivity, which is a fantastic, groundbreaking group in Canada. Who I've been working with to come up with what's called a deep learning community and put the training videos on there. It'll make life a lot easier, is what I'm trying to do. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. Okay. There is a curriculum. I'm going to go over that curriculum in a few slides here. And I know some of you may have seen the curriculum. I'm going to go through that rather quickly this time, but I'll try and cover the salient points for our new members here. And I know some of you just joined us, and I'll bring you on the panel here in a couple of minutes, okay? So thank you for your patience. Questions, you can submit them one at a time. There is a mechanism called raising your hand. It's called Raise Your Hand, I believe, and it's on your navigation menu. And so if you have a question, you can either raise your hand or just type it into the chat box, and a wonderful little signal will come to me. It's not an electric shock, I assure you. It'll be a nice signal on my screen that tells me that there's a question, and I'll scan that from time to time to do that. So feel free to submit your questions one at a time. And try and do them one question at a time so I can cycle back to you after other people have exhausted their opportunities. Okay. The rough agenda for each call, try to keep these flexible, but roughly speaking, there's a welcome, like we did, introduction of new members, we share successes, and then I'll take or perform responses to coaching requests, and then we'll do announcements, and then we complete. What I want to give an opportunity to do, let's see if there are other people who are new as well. Welcome, Patricia, to the call. Great to have you here. Welcome, Angeline. Great to have you here. Belinda, welcome to the call. And Andy Lebrun's here too. Josephine Hannon is here as well. I want to give people, just in the interest of time, I'm just going to give people who are new to the call or who are kind of checking out our group here an opportunity to introduce themselves. So why don't I get Amanda, give me 1 second, Amanda, and Jeff. I'm going to unmute you too. So Amanda and Jeff, if you'd like to just briefly introduce yourself so people know who you are, and I know you guys are just coming on this particular call to check it out. Amanda, why don't we start with you? Could you share a little bit about what you do and what your interests are? Amanda, are you there?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Aha.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go. Let me get my microphone better.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. I was introduced to you by Rosie, and I also know Andy, who's on the call. And you very generously invited Jeff. I'm really excited. And what we're up to in Colorado right now is a group called Conscious Business Connection. I've been doing it for 7.5 years, but about a year ago, Jeff Allen came into my life, and through him and John Block and lots of other wonderful beings, we're seeing a bigger vision of expansion now, and Meetup is a big part of that. So really love what you're up to, and we're here to, partner and see what's up.
Yeah, great. And you have meetups in the Colorado area. Can you briefly share a little bit about that and what you do there?
Yes, we have one in Fort Collins, which is northern Colorado, another one for about a year in Loveland that Jeff leads, visions of moving down the state to Longmont pretty soon. And then also last year we started an online meetup, which is just some good online networking that has been able to attract people in Oregon and Florida and the East Coast. And that's been really fun to connect with people there.
Okay, and that online means you're just doing it virtually by webinars only, or are you doing live events as well, or?
We are just doing every week. We meet on Zoom and see who turns up. We have speakers. We try to make it as close to an in-person meeting as possible. Zoom allows the great video connections. We use the breakout rooms to let people have some one-on-one time with each other, and it's been great.
Okay, just a quick warning. You may want to look at the policies for Meetup. They say you have to have half the events live. So how do you, or are you not aware of that policy, or are you, yeah?
The policy is you have to have half your events live?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So we have at least half our events are live because we do have the locations in Colorado. So we run them out of one meetup and it works out.
Okay, yeah, I understand now. That makes sense. That's what we're sharing with everybody here as well. So as long as half your events are live, then you're perfectly fine, and that's awesome. That's exactly what we're training people to do here as well, but on a global level. So that's really great to to see you're doing that.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And Jeff, just anything you'd like to share as well?
Yeah, fantastic. I know that the Fort Collins location has over 1,200 on the meetup. And since I've started mine, it's pushing 200 already in less than a year. And it's a phenomenal way for us to teach conscious business connection, conscious business skills around profit and open-hearted consciousness. And yeah, it's just been amazing to work with Amanda. And so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Great to have you both. And, feel free to share your contact information in the chat. And if anybody else wants to connect with Amanda and or Jeff, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to do an email introduction as well, just to make things easy. Okay.
Thanks.
Great to have you guys here. Awesome. I think I have a little comment here. Let me see what's doing here. Okay, Josephine, I got your question, I think. Okay, great. Josephine, I'll get back to your question here in a sec. Great. Thanks for asking that. Okay. All right. Moving right on. And again, those of you who are listening to the recording, quite a number of people, Jeff and Amanda, for your information, listen to the recordings as well, and so they couldn't be on the call here. So if you're listening to the recording and you'd like to get a connection to Amanda or Jeff or find out more, just connect to me, okay? And I'll be happy to connect you with Amanda and Jeff. One of the things we're doing right now is we're also posting the chat information. So if you want to post your if you're interested in looking for joint venture partners, feel free to post your stuff in the chat as well, and we'll be sharing that to the group at large. Okay, so if you want to do that, feel free to do that. Okay, great. So I want to take this opportunity to give a few of you, just in the interest of time, I'm not going to get everybody to share your successes, but a few of you who want to share your successes, feel free to do that. And that includes Jeff and Amanda too, if you'd like to do that real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to lead off from mine. I had a huge success this week. I'm working with a very highly visionary group of people who are determined and committed to reversing climate change. Now, most people talk about climate change in the sense that, reducing emissions and reducing your gas and usage and your car usage, etc., and going to hybrids, etc. But this is a group that's dedicated to actually removing carbon dioxide from the air and restoring climate the way it was in 1970, I believe. And I'm working to promote them at a high level of marketing and engagement. And just to get you a sense, there are political people who are coming on board. Senator Whitehouse is very interested in what we do. There's a group at MIT who actually we've already partnered with, and the science is also the scientific research is beginning to be funded as well doing this. So it's very exciting, and I'm very excited to do that. And I just wanted to share that success. Wanted to give other people an opportunity too. If you want to share your success, I'm just going to open up. Open up to anybody else who'd like to share any success. So who'd like to go?
Neil, it's Jose.
Hey, Jose. Yes, please.
Hey, so 2 of my past events sold out that were on Meetup, so I was really, really happy with that.
Great. Awesome. That is so awesome. So how many people did you have
I had, I think it was like 43 at my last one, and then the time before that it was like 35, something like that.
Nice. Very great. Awesome. Congratulations. That's really, really great to hear, Jose. Awesome. Let's see. I'm getting a little confused, which is very rare for me, but I'm trying to unmute everybody here. So just if anybody else would like to share, just raise your hands or just send it in the chat box, and I'll make sure you get an opportunity to share as well, because it's important to share your successes as well. Even if you think things are going really bad, you should share whatever is successful right now, and then we can handle whatever issues or challenges you're having, pretty soon here as well. Okay. So anybody else, raise your hands or type it in the chat box. I'm trying to. Anybody else like to share their successes?
Hi, Cynthia. This is Rosie.
Hey, Rosie, go ahead, please.
So, anyway, I tried a new version last month. Was it April? So I did it. It was free. Usually, so I was slowly going back to free, like what you've been suggesting.
Yeah.
And I had it in my home instead of in the club room, which was better. And I made it more of, I didn't promote it this way, but I made it more of a mastermind. And I don't know, about 10 women came, and it was really, really a good connection.
Great.
So I just felt that was really a nice way to kind of lead off, and people really got a lot of value out of it. So it was a good way to test that.
Oh, great. Awesome. And your daughter's here as well. Sunny just joined us and I just included her, but that's really.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm.
That's really great. Yeah. And no, that's really awesome. That's really, that's the direction to go, is to up level. Some of you may not be ready to up level the style or manner of your group, but, moving to a mastermind or starts attracting more engaged people at a higher level. Roughly speaking, in the Bay Area at least, about 20% of the people who come to our groups, and we've got a large group, 65,000 people in totality, but about 20% of the people are people who really want to do something, So on an average, but expect about 10 to 20%. Now, I say average, it's not going to be every meetup event you have. But when you average it out, about 20% of the people really want something higher. They want to engage at a higher level. So you want to, whether it's relationships or networking or business or health, these are the people who are interested in, like I said, they're more ambitious. They want to do something bigger. So if you're starting out, the thing to do is to just look out for these kinds of people and register and get them, get to connect with them, maybe do a separate event with them as much as possible. But I'm really happy, Rosie, that you're doing that. It's really awesome.
Thanks.
Great. Anybody else like to share their successes? Xiao Li, would you like to share something? Or Sunny or anybody else? Yeah. Go ahead, Xiao Li.
Well, I just had my first meetup last week, I think 2 weeks ago. It didn't show up a lot of people as I expected, but it's funny, 75% of the people actually scheduled a one-on-one free session. So next step, I'm thinking, how out of 3, if I could convert 1 into the sales client, that would be great.
Great.
So let's see. Yeah, I'm happy about that. Which is Rosie said, the people show up, they really want to find a solution, and want to know what's gonna do for them. So that's I sure, like if they do take the time after work, show up at the meetup, that's something they want to learn. They want to do something different.
Correct. Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Taking the time to do so, then then you're going to discover that, well, you're going to discover how you need to serve them and what price points, etc. So it's always good to do that, because now you're beginning to sample your market, and the more data you get about your market, the more you understand, well, you might discover, this segment I may not want to serve as much. So I might need to start retargeting and going for a different market.
Mm-hmm.
But my suspicion is, for who you're targeting, for now, I think you just want to keep targeting those people. And when they come to the session, ask good questions. A good, very wise marketing person who's extremely successful in marketing has told me, sometimes, you want to go broad in terms of finding out more about your audience, but you also want to go deep. When you have somebody in front of you, you want to find out as much as possible what their challenges are, what their goals are, what their visions are. So challenges, goals, and visions. Visions means, what's bigger than just their immediate goals. Challenges means what's keeping them up at night right now. So it's in the relationship field where you're at. Sometimes you want to look at, okay, what are the immediate problems? The immediate challenges. What kind of dating places should I go to? But the slightly longer term challenges are, well, how do I find the right people? If I find the right people, the right places to go to, how can I be more selective? How can I position it so that men are chasing me more than I'm chasing them? As an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Actually, this is I want to talk to you more about. I don't know if I should. So that happened. All the people show up as Asian. I think because I'm Asian, so
Yes.
I'm thinking, should I just more targeted into Asian instead of too broad? I don't know it because I just had my first meetup.
Yeah.
Because at my meetup, I listed 15 groups, and none of them are Asian. So I was thinking if I should switch around and put some Asian community in there.
That's a good question. I tell you what, can you put that into the chat box? And I promise you, I'll do my best to get to that, because I just want to be fair to everybody else. Because I'm actually going to
yeah. Okay.
Well here, but,
Sure. Okay.
But that's great. Okay, and that is actually a really good question. So make sure you type that in. All right, go ahead and mute you right now. All right, great. And okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to move on here to our next point. So this is the curriculum that we cover in this program for the next 12 months or so. One is to conquer your local area. So for a lot of you, how do you conquer your local area? Well, the simple, obvious answer is to create more groups. But there's a little bit more to it, and I'll try and drip information to you without overwhelming you over the next few weeks on how to do that. But for most of you, it's really building out your local growth first. Get a couple more groups under your belt. Even if you're not doing that hot, statistically speaking, if your basic proposition is something that people want, then the way to test it is to start more groups. So for example, you may have a San Jose group. I know Shaoli is looking at the possibility of starting a Fremont group. And Shaoli, as a general idea, that's usually good. You want to start more groups and test it out and see how they respond. Okay. So that's one thing we covered. Second thing, I'm not going to cover everything in here. I'm just going to cover the salient ones. And we're going to talk about webinar strategy today, how to do that, how to make that work, how to use other platforms. We're going to get to this in future calls, but this is very sweet. Has been very, very great for me. On LinkedIn, I think I've figured out how to crack that and make it work with Meetup as well, and with Twitter. But really, LinkedIn is a great place to approach to not just find clients, but also find high-level generators, people who are visionaries, not necessarily in the coaching expert realm, etc., that a lot of you are. I know not all of you are, but beyond that. And it gets way more interesting and way more expansive when you look beyond that, beyond that audience. For example, people who are visionaries in higher levels of business or in the tech areas, these are people who are interested in innovation and interested in different ideas and different audiences. So LinkedIn is a really great place to do some of your approaching as well. And we've got a really great system. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I've managed to automate it. I'm not going to show you immediately how to automate it because it could be very overwhelming, but I can show you some of the sub-steps to get there. Other salient things that we cover, how to create a powerful online presence via Meetup. Some of you may know 30% of our business comes from Google, people finding us on Google from Meetup because we have a huge Meetup presence. It also affects our Google searchability. How do we get there? How to do effective presentations, how to build your email list, writing great copy. And again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are some of the things that we'll cover, okay? All right, in a moment here, I'm gonna review what we covered in the last call. Okay, Angeline, you got a question there. I'm gonna cover that later. Angeline, thank you for asking these questions. It's really great. I'll make sure you get that information, okay? So now, review from last week. Actually, before I get into the review, some of you have come to me and said that there are low numbers in a Meetup for April. And we've, as a totality, what I've experienced, that there are some exceptions to this, but a lot of people have the same complaint, you could say, about Meetup, not just Meetup, but their events. Even if their events are not on Meetup, it's been low numbers in April, and the best I can think of is a couple of things. One is for Meetup specifically, I've been in touch with the technical group in Meetup, and they've said that they actually had some problems with their technology. And so this resulted in delayed announcements of groups, etc. So that might partly account for it. I think the other reasons may be because of seasonality, because we're heading into spring, and also we just came out of Passover and Easter. Now, I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but I think those are some of the best explanations I can find. The thing to do is just keep going. No matter what you do, just keep going, because statistically, there are people out there that are reaching out to. So just keep generating the audience and keep generating your events, okay? But you may expect some lower numbers in April just because of that. The second thing the first thing we covered last week on a call, and those of you who are in the program, you should look at the recording for the call, because it was a really great call. How to set up a good collaborative partnership in Meetup. What are some of the distinctions to do that? Again, we talked a little bit about increasing the number of groups locally. How to set up for paid consultations versus free consultations. And I also shared, and I share here too, my link to my current paid consultation, which has been doing pretty well. And so well that I actually bump up the price, not on this particular page, but on another offer I made. And that offer, actually, I got more people taking me up on it. And I'm sharing this with you because the way I do it is I like to give people really good, compelling offers, because it's really in the manner of your offer as well as your audience, obviously. So the reason I'm sharing a lot of these things is to give you both the art and the science of doing it. And the art is really important as well, because you got to figure out how to word it, but word it in a way that you feel good about delivering. Because you don't want to word such a fantastic offer and then you show up at the session, you're not quite congruent with that offer. You want to make sure it's all done with an integrity as well. But I do give you that link there. And if you want that link again by email or whatever, just let me know, okay? And then last week, we also covered some of the common points of failure. And again, I invite you to look at the previous recording and see, if you can go through this in more detail. One is obviously audience targeting. You got to target the right audiences and with the right messages. Second is compelling messaging. And we talked about the job that you do for your clients. The clients hire you, or people come to the meetup to essentially hire you to do a job for them. So you want to figure out what is the job. The job has both a functional, emotional, and social context. So the job you do for them could be something like, it's usually not just like I want to get more people in my business, or I want to have, I want to be able to pick from 15 guys who I'm going to marry. It's not just that, right? But it's also like the emotional relief or social relief of pain that you want to find out. You've got to find out the whole context of this, okay? The other common points of failure are your events are the wrong day or time for your audience. So you want to look at that, and we talked quite a bit about that as well. The fourth point of failure is not enough build time. For some of you who are starting out, you got to give about 4 weeks of build time. I saw some of you, especially some of you, are not coming on the group calls. You're trying to do a 1 week build out with only 50 people in your group. That's not going to give you a really good enough time to build. So you got to give more time to build your events. Like may have to be, for most of you, I would say it's at least 3 to 4 weeks to build it out, okay? And again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to put it into the chat box. And then we talked about the sales funnel too, and how to design your sales funnel. And this is not just a meetup, obviously, but it's also post your event, how you create your sales funnel so that it makes it more compelling for people to join. Some of you are trying to charge too much. I mean, if you're doing a free event, or even if it's a $97 event, and then your first consultation is $597, that may be too much of a jump for some of your audiences. So you have to consider that and think it through and test something different or try something different, test it out. Okay. Okay. So a couple of coaching requests here that I got from some of you over the week. One was in setting up your webinars, and I'm going to talk about that very, very soon here. The second is, how often should I engage members on Meetup, like sending emails with downloadable information? And then the third is, it's a quick tip that I added in, but I'm also going to cover the questions that have been coming in on the chat box. Okay, so setting up your webinars, how to do that. There are two strategies that we employ. The first strategy is where we actually post the webinar as an event on your Meetup. So the webinar is an actual event on your Meetup. The second way we do it is we don't post it as an event on your Meetup group, but we use the email promotions to promote the webinars. And if you want details on this, I actually covered this in a previous call. And for those of you who are new in the program and want to get a recording of that call, you can reach out to me and I can tell you that. In the interest of time, I don't want to cover that on this call, but if you want to know how to do those two strategies in specificity, just let me know and I'll direct you to the right point. Okay. So what are the steps in promoting or doing this overall? Because I know a lot of you are new to doing webinars. I know Cami also is still pretty new, although she's doing fantastically well in generating her audience. So I want to start from some of the basics, okay? So I know some of you may be already doing this, and this may be old information, but I just invite you. Oh, that sounds like an alarm going off. If you're doing that, just mute yourself, okay? So the first thing to do, I know it sounds silly, but you want to get a webinar account. Now, you can do this in extremely low tech and do like free I think it's freeconferencecall.com, and you don't have to do a webinar. You can just do it as a teleconference call. There are pros and cons to that because the technology is not very reliable all the time. But if you're just doing it for 10 or 15 people, it'll probably work pretty well. It's totally free and it's called freeconferencecall.com. You can do it that way. I wouldn't advocate really strongly doing that because people like to do webinars more so, in my experience, but your audience may vary from audience to audience. So you may have to gauge that, okay? What we recommend for webinars is what we are using right now on this call, which is Zoom. There are pros and cons. It doesn't have some things are not perfect. You can do webinar replays using Zoom. But it's not like the best way to do it, but it does work pretty decently. Zoom costs about $49 per month to do, and it's worked pretty well for us. You can also get a personal meeting room and give that link to your special clients so they can come under personal room from time to time, and you can meet them there as well in virtual space to run your meetings. And that's different from the webinar that you can set up. GoToWebinar is a little bit more sophisticated and has a few more bells and whistles, and has a little bit more reliability from time to time. So far, I haven't had any major issues with Zoom, but GoToWebinar, it does cost a little bit more. I don't know if they brought the price down, but typically I think it's about $99 per month. Last I checked in with them. So what I advocate is actually get the free trials for these and test it out. So my next point, do a practice run with each one and do it with people that you know. Don't do a formal webinar, but do a trial run and test it out for yourself. And this is usually a good way to do it. And usually these Zoom and GoToWebinar offer a free trial service period. So you can try that out and see which one works better. And I think there are a couple of other ones that have come on board as well. And if some of you want to share some other suggestions in the chat, go ahead and do that, please, by all means, okay? But what I advocate is do a practice run so you can test it out, see how it works, etc., before you actually do a real one, okay? And then go through the same exercise as I set up with all of you, pretty much. in the first hand-holding phase of this program, where I sat down with you and set it up, and then I gave you a checklist as well, a quick cheat sheet on how to set up your meetup event. You do pretty much the same steps in setting up a meetup event if you want to do the meetup event on your group page, okay? And so you go through the same exercise in setting up the meetup event once you once you figured out what you want to use in terms of your technology. Now, while you're setting up your meetup event using that checklist, and if those of you want that checklist, again, just reach out to me and I'll send that to you, okay? What you want to do is create your offer link if you're doing a webinar, or your registration mechanism. So if you're offering a free session, for example, you may want to use a calendar scheduling mechanism like TimeTrade that I think all of you pretty much have used with me from time to time to set up a time. And TimeTrade just means that you can set up all your available times and have the people select a time to work with you. And that's if you're doing a free session. If you're not doing a free session, if you want to do a registration link that involves payment, then what I would recommend is checking out ClickFunnels that can set up a very quick registration page for you, or leadpages.com will help you do that. There are probably some other cheaper forms available right now too that you can do, or you can set up your own registration form using WordPress, okay? But I know some of you are probably just doing the TimeTrade or the free session right now. TimeTrade is a fairly easy way to do it. You can, if you want me to demonstrate it, just let me know. I'll do a demonstration. But in the interest of time, I want to move on here. But I know most of you have seen that, know how it works. And then you want to create your PowerPoint. And this was, I think, on 3 calls ago that I worked with Xiao Li to create your PowerPoint and make it compelling. And this incorporates some of the best thinking that I've gotten from people, including somebody who does fantastic pitches for investors. And I trained with him in some of the distinctions that he presents. And I incorporated some of that in the training for creating a really good PowerPoint. That template for the PowerPoint in itself has made me a lot of money, and a lot of people who are looking for investing funding, a lot of money as well. So extremely valuable stuff. If you want to get that replay, reach out to me or just look through your emails if you've been on the calls for a while. And I think it was 3 or 4 calls ago that we did that. Okay. The other option is to create. Now, if you have a webinar, what you can do is do some teasers when you do the announcements for the webinar. You also may want to include a short guide for the webinar itself. Some of you may have seen these where you give people an outline of the webinar, and you'll say, oh, the 5 ways that you can reduce your stress at work is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you leave them blank. And you kind of do the outline, and you give them this outline so that they can follow along with. You can call it the cheat sheet for the webinar, or a cheat sheet to reduce stress in 8 ways by 20% in the next 2 weeks, and offer that with the webinar as well. So it builds intrigue for your webinar. Now, you can do the same thing for your live events as well. Have people say, this is an outline for the live event I'm going to do, and build intrigue that way. Okay. Now, if you're overwhelmed, don't worry about it. For now, try and just keep it simple and easy. Just do your PowerPoint for now. But if you want to do an added thing like that, you can create a free download and do the email teasers that way. Okay. All right. I'm not going to get to the next question. I'm just going to cover any questions that just came in about this. Anyone know if TimeTrade? Oh, wait, let me get to the top of these questions. Okay, so what about Webinar Jam? I've heard good and bad things, Xiao Li, about Webinar Jam. Again, some people have figured out the technology behind it. But because it incorporates other platforms, you have to deal with a lot of uncertainties about whether it's going to work for everybody. But the majority of people I've interacted with have been really happy with it. So again, I would invite you to just try it out, test it out. And again, I'm not trying to be dismissive. I'm just saying, I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to test it out myself. But test it out and see how it works for you. And if you want to share with the group what the pros and cons are, Shelly, that would be really great. Okay, and it will really serve a lot of people here as well. Okay, and let's see more questions here. If you do Zoom and want people to use video, need to play up. So you want them to use video, they will default to phone. Yeah, that's true. From time to time, that's never been a problem for me, Josephine. What Josephine is saying is, if you use Zoom, some people will not come on the laptop to use Zoom, but they'll phone in. And when they phone in, they can't interact with you. So you got to really make it really obviously clear to people. It is a downside. I agree with you. It's a downside of using Zoom because they can't interact with you if they're on the phone. I think when I use Instant Teleseminar, there was a way of doing it on the phone that you can raise your hand and interact with people and bring them on the phone. So instantteleseminar.com does actually resolve that. I used that for about a year, many years ago. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So, yeah, that is, I do acknowledge that's a downside to Zoom. On Zoom, you got to get people coming on the desktop or the laptop or your phone in order to interact with you. Sorry, your smartphone in order to interact with you. They only come on their phone and they don't use a smartphone app, they can't interact with you. Anyone know if TimeTrade sends reminders yet? I don't think it does. It's certainly a downside of that. And I'm looking to move to another kind of application because frankly, they're quite archaic in that they don't really, I don't think they do. Actually, no, I take that back. They send you one reminder, I think the day before, if I'm not mistaken. The last time I tested it out, which is about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I think it does send you reminders, but not sufficiently. If you really want it, most people are so distracted, you got to send them like 3 reminders to get them on the call. So that is a downside. Next question, is it better to do live webinar or recorded webinar? Always live webinars better. But some of my experts do this, and it depends on audiences, because some audiences you want to engage, they are more animated and more engaged, and they tend to throw you questions all the time. But the other way to do it is do a recorded webinar and then come during the Q&A section and have that be live. So you do a recorded webinar, for example, for the first 20 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes you come on live and you answer questions. So that's one way to do it. So you have to test your audience, because when I did it with a very rambunctious group of visionaries once, and I just did it, a recorded one. It was a stupid mistake. I'll never do that again, because they were throwing me questions and they wanted to get answers right away. But they were, pretty charitable lot at the end. They laughed at the end about it, but you want to gauge your audience, okay? Yeah, Rosie, you're completely right. Live is always better for webinars, yeah, great feedback. Okay, very great, very useful stuff here. And again, keep feeding me questions if you need to. All right, not a problem. I'm here to serve. I can chew gum and dance at the same time. So not a problem, all right? Okay, how often should I engage members on Meetup, like sending emails with downloadable information? So I want to cover this question. This is a very relevant and very good question. So the thing to notice is that Meetup, whether you like it or not, does automatic email reminders for you to your groups. So it sends automatic email reminders to people, whether they've RSVP'd or not. And I think it sends them separate emails for those 2 groups. Taking off my jacket here. Good thing I'm not on video. Anyway. So you want to pay attention to the automatic email reminders. And Meetup sends those reminders the day before, approximately. It's not exact, because I think they put it on a queue, and it just depends on how much bandwidth they have and how many people are setting up meetups. So it's approximately 1 day before and 1 week before that they do those automatic email reminders. So why am I sharing this with you in the light of this question? Because you don't want to inundate your members with too many emails. I try to avoid emails on those 2 days. So you notice in your quick setup that checklist that I sent to you, I have you do manual reminders on the day off and 2 weeks before to try and avoid that. So you want to think about the automatic email reminders when you send emails that give them free downloads and that kind of stuff. Okay. The other thing I suggest is to create a marketing calendar. We have a marketing calendar where we track all our meetup groups, and we determine which day of the week we're going to send what to each group. In fact, we have a comprehensive marketing calendar. You know what? I can. If you guys are interested in seeing my marketing calendar, just put it in the chat box, and I'll get to it. Okay, if you're really intrigued about doing it, but it's really basic at some level, but it can get sophisticated as we go along, and it becomes very sweet because your marketing calendar becomes your task structure for your admin team. So my admin team, it's so beautiful. I love my marketing calendar because I don't have to look at it. I only look at it when I want to change something, or I think at a strategic level. And so my admin looks at the marketing calendar, figures out what to do, does it for me, and then she marks it done on the calendar. So it creates an accountability system, one step, and cuts down my management time to about 10 minutes a day. Apart from strategic thinking, which is important because you don't want to necessarily, you want to have accountability and pay attention to accountability, no doubt, but you also want to leave enough brain bandwidth for you to, to create your business and create the strategies behind it. So hope that makes sense. So the marketing calendar is a great idea and will help pace when you're going to send email reminders for which meetup groups and when to do that. And what I recommend is having granularity down to a day. So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What are you going to send in those days? And then Saturday, Sunday too is an option. And then the columns could look like, if you have an Excel spreadsheet, hope I'm not confusing you all, but the columns will look like what meetup groups you're going to, and what you're going to post on for each meetup group on each day, right? And if you do that, then it calms you down and you can start seeing how you can do this, and it starts giving you more creative ideas on how to expand your marketing and make it more, make it more compelling for people. Okay. All right. Let me pause here and look at questions. Okay. Some of you want to see the marketing calendar. Okay, great. Yes. All right. By overwhelming response. Let me do that then. Ask and you shall receive. Let's see there. All right. Okay. My marketing calendar, where are you? There you are. Okay. So this is my marketing calendar that my team sees. And I'll show you what the rows are. So the rows you'll see are pretty much for Monday, Tuesday, it's really slow here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so those are the rows, and then the columns are basically my channels. So there's a channel for Facebook personal page, there's a channel for LinkedIn, and there's a channel for Twitter, blog posting, and then I get into my individual meetups here. And I don't do all of them right now, but I do the main ones that I want to cover. And I think there's another page that I use for more detailed work for some of my other meetup groups, but this is the main page, okay? And so if you look at each individual cell here on the grid, you see the one that I'm pointing to right now, Monday for LinkedIn. She gets to invite at least 65 people per day. I'm going to read it out for those who can't see it. And then I split it up. So she does a search for like 10 visionaries, and she actually does a search for visionary and blah, blah, blah. It's quite a number of other details that I've already trained her to do. By the way, each of these cells has an associated video training with it. So just to make it simple, yeah, each of these cells has a video training associated. So what that does is it makes it really easy for me to train any new admins coming on board. And so that's just a quick aside. But basically, then I tell her what to do for the LinkedIn channel. This is what you got to do on Monday. And then if you look at, I'll just go to the meetups right now. Right now we're not promoting anything too heavily, but post the article in the discussion session, post a slightly different article here for this meetup group, etc. So I hope that gives you the idea of how to do it. And so what I could put here is send out the emailer for a promo reminder for the May 15th event, right? And then I'll send her what the email looks like by email or by Skype separately, so she knows what I'm talking about. So you can do that, and I'm not going to keep that here because I don't want her to send out any emailer right now. But that's the basic idea. You want to track it that way, so you don't inundate people with too many emails. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And then you do the same thing for every day. And then for those of you who are interested in working out systems for your admins, etc., this is very sweet, because what my admin does is she turns it blue. So you can see it's marked blue here. That tells me that it's done. And then she adds stuff in red that gives me more details. Like this is the exact article that she posted, which is resolving worries. Some of you may have seen that on my Facebook page, etc. So it's very cool. It's like magic. I come here and I see it's done. Wow, fantastic. Isn't that great? And then if there are any problems, she reaches out to me by Skype, so I know, pretty urgently. Skype or email. Email is less urgent. Skype is more urgent. And like I said, you do the same thing every day, pretty much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so that's my marketing calendar. I'll keep that up in case you have any more questions. But that's pretty much how it works. And I specialize, actually do a program for some of my higher level clients where I train the admin. And we customize, it's a separate program, but we customize marketing calendars like that. And it's a pretty sweet program. A lot of people like that. I know some of you are you're gonna hire me to do that. So excited to do that for you. Okay. All right, great. Let's see, questions here. Where do I get my admins? I've gotten them from referrals, but now what I'm doing, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend for you, but I'm getting really good quality admins after you train them from Philippines. They're really great. They're not all great. And some of them, they're not great because their English is not very good, but I tend to be very patient, and I've been doing this for years, and I've managed teams and led teams, and I've trained teams as well. So I understand how to do it. So I'm getting my admins from that source, and I'm not going through any intermediary. I'm going directly to people and finding them. Some of the people have come through my joint venture mastermind circles, and I recommend some of those people from time to time to my clients who are looking for people like that. So if you're looking for an admin like that, let me know. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just hired a great VA from Philippines. Yeah, it can be a toss, and you have to interview them right. You have to be. Here's the thing. Okay, this is what I'll give it as an overall point of advice when it comes to hiring people: is you have to be extremely clear about what you want them to do and what your measures of success are going to look like. If you're not clear about that, it's going to go very crazy. Okay. Now I know some people operate like that. They like to dance, but you really have to bring a high level of attention to detail when working with admins. Otherwise, it gets really tough. Now you'll be lucky if you find a generator kind of admin who can dance with you and figure out and be proactive. But those are very rare and usually very expensive. So if you want to keep your costs down, you have to up the training and the patience level. And I don't see too much of a realistic way around that. to be honest with you. But once you get it going, wow, it's really great. It's really, really great. I'm not sure what you're asking, Shelly, but let me know the info. Give me more details about that. And yeah, and Coach Andy agreed. You want to Skype first, interview them, make sure they're very super clear, make sure they're trained. Like most people, once they're trained and they understand what you want, they'll follow instructions. It's not terribly difficult to do. Okay. All right. Great. And I'm going to get to other questions here too as best as I can. Wow, look at that. Look at the time going by. All right. Now, going back to sending emails with downloadable information. Now, this is an important point here that I have, which is you want to design how you send your information in a top-down way. You don't want to necessarily do it willy-nilly. You want to really create some forethought to how you want to drip information to your meetup group members. And the reasoning is not just because you don't want to overwhelm their email inbox, but what you want to do is make sure that your messaging is compelling and it creates some suspense. So you don't want to give too much away. Some people give too much stuff away and then people go, I don't really need to go to the webinar. And you don't want to give too little away, but you want to drip them a little bit at a time. And some people don't want to get too much stuff at the front end, but as they get more and more intrigued, you give them more intriguing information towards the end or right before the webinar. And so there's the art and science of managing the drip so that you don't overwhelm people, but you keep the right amount of intrigue. So one simple way to do that is give them a free download that helps them wrap their head around what they're trying to solve as a problem. And try to solve only one problem at a time. Don't give them too many things. And if your group has like 3 or 4 main pain points, then maybe have a separate email like once a week before your webinar that gives them a little bit of organization. In other words, how to organize their thinking and how to solve their top 4 problems once a week, right? And so if you do that, like the build up towards your webinar, and then create a little bit of suspense in each download and let them know, listen, we're going to be covering this in more detail on the webinar. So make sure you show up on time. So that builds more intrigue. So you can see why I'm emphasizing you have to really think through the design of this when you're tickling or triggering them for suspense. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now, this is probably not going to make sense or won't have much relevance until you actually dig into creating an actual webinar or a meetup event, and you want to actually drip down these emails. So what I'm suggesting is make this real for me and for everybody else and for yourself. Bring an actual idea or set of ideas to our future calls for how you want to drip emails to people for your events, and we can actually work through it on the group calls, okay? Because for me to present all this stuff or even do a case study for how I've done it in the distant past probably may not be too relevant to you all in your specific categories. So bring your questions for this is what I'm trying to say for the future calls, okay? All right, great. Before we get to the quick tip, let's get to the other questions. Look at all these questions, my God. All right. All right, Josephine here. I'm doing a webinar on May 11th and wanting feedback on my promotion strategy. Planning to send one group message tomorrow, Thursday, send another message a week before, and send one day before, and send one 30 minutes before. And you probably want to do one on time as well, Josephine, just to add to that, okay? And yeah, I think for now, don't make it an official event. That's probably fine. And then just do an email. Make sure, you don't overwhelm them with like I said earlier, with emails the automatic emails as well. Okay. So hope that answers your question. If you have more questions, feed me questions. All right. Okay, Amanda's given her contact information. Feel free to connect with her. And Josephine is also, okay, so I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to get to the questions here. All right. Patricia Fuqua. I love saying that name, Patricia. You have such a great name, Patricia Fuqua. It's like Andy LeBrun. You have like fantastic names. All right, Patricia, let's see. Feedback on my marketing strategy for upcoming program. How to meet 10 men you want to marry in 30 days. I'd shorten it a little bit. Meeting 10 men to marry in 30 days, just to keep it shorter, and it's a little bit more declarative, more banner-like. So meet 10 men to marry in 30 days. It's a little bit more, a little bit more risque because it's quite a promise, but I like doing that kind of stuff because it puts my behind on the line too. And when I show up at the presentation, people get in the first few minutes that I really mean business. I really want to make this happen, and that creates more engagement for people and brands you very well. So you stand apart from the proletariat of other experts who make these similar kinds of claims. But then when you show up, they go, well, talk to my coach, and they don't get the content they really need. So you got to make sure that your presentation meets that, which I'm sure you do, Patricia. Okay. So meet 10 men to marry in 30 days, maybe an easier way to do it. If those of you, including Jose, has recommendations for her, feel free to chat, put it in the chat box here. I'm marketing through live meetups, I think.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Mine and other business meetups. Great. Have planned a sales letter for comp consultation on my website and a sales letter for registering for the program on my website. Okay, great. At my personal meetup, my presentation will upsell the program. Okay, I'm wondering, would you get a PR copywriter to tweak sales letter or a media strategy to use at Twitter, Pinterest, or LinkedIn for lead generation? Well, like any question like this, I would look at risk, return, and investment. Okay. So return on investment and versus risk. So when I look at risk, I look at all the options on the table because the greatest risk is opportunity cost. So for example, if you spend a lot of money, if you spend $1,000 on a PR campaign, you want to look at what your other options could have brought in terms of a return. See, so I guess the question for you, Patricia, if you can hear me, I think you can hear me, is what's your budget for all of this? Do you have a budget that you're willing to spend?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So I'm looking at the freelancers, and so basically I'm writing these pieces. What I need them to do is just to tweak them and make sure that they're doing what I want them to do. And so I don't think I should have to pay more than $400 because I've written the pieces and they're just, polishing them.
Yeah, if they're polishing and posting and editing, I mean, I haven't done it in a while, and the people I do PR for, they expect a lot more, and those pricings are much higher. Okay.
Yes.
So I think based on my experience in the last couple of years doing it, I think that's not unreasonable to ask. Some people will be willing to do it. Of course, you get what you pay for sometimes. But I would set expectations clearly for that $400 to make sure it's distributed right to the right people, and look to see if they have personal connections that get you reasonably posted and get you some good play. In my experience, though, PR is a long-term campaign. So doing one PR thing may not necessarily give you the kind of results you want. You could mitigate that by getting a more local kind of campaign going with a local newspaper that has a good visibility and readership. But PR can be more of a long-term strategy. So, my tendency is to try to avoid PR unless, we're looking at a long-term strategy, if that makes
Oh, okay. So in essence, um, polishing up this thing that I have created would not necessarily get me the results that I want.
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at a short-term thing here, it's not probably not going to pay off for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Because I would want to start the class like the last of May.
Yeah, I would spend that 400 and keep the 400 and brush up your copy and maybe start another meetup group in the area and get a wider net. And, and then feed your programs that way. And then spend more time looking at getting maybe the paid consultations going that will feed your actual paid programs. So like do a, like I talked about the week before and the week before that is instead of offering a free consultation, maybe offer a paid consultation.
Okay, well, I can do that. I used to do that all the time, actually. And so I've been doing 60-minute consultations, consultations for a big bag of money, but people don't see the value in that. So
then you seriously have to look at the wording and what you're offering. See, so maybe bring that to the next call if we have time at the end of this call, or just email it to me. I can take a quick look at it and see what how we can improve it. And then Joyce is also a copywriter on our group here. So if you want to reach out to her and she's willing to look at it briefly for you, that's
okay. Great.
Yeah, you're probably going to get better bang from that, I would say.
All right.
Yeah, and sometimes doing the free sessions, I advocate starting with that because I use the free sessions to understand the market. See, you can understand the market, then I can create a better paid for consultation.
Yeah.
The other option you could do is do a half-day consultation and offer that as an option to people who are more serious, but don't advertise it. Only offer it to people who are really engaged with you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. God, there's so much more to talk about that, but I want to move on to the other questions if you don't mind, Patricia.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Shaoli, back to Shaoli. Since my target market is more towards, Asian women. Right. The thing about Meetup is, Shaoli, is for Asian women, I don't think okay, here's my answer. I think overall that makes sense. Let's try it. I don't know if Meetup may come back and claim that it's too selective for people, but we can try it. Okay. So, Shaoli, what I would recommend is, use my original document to set up a Meetup, right? The one that I gave you originally.
Yeah. Yes.
And come up with fill out that form, right, for Asian women. Okay. And then I can take a look at it with you by email on our next group call, and we can figure out how to fine tune it and make it right.
No, I didn't mean to add Asian women on the group as a title. Remember when we set up a meetup, they have 15 choices you can pick about what we are about. So you pick, networking, women entrepreneur. So I'm thinking, should I add some Asian community group in there about as well?
Oh, I see. You mean as a meetup topic is what they call it, which identifies your target market.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we try that as an experiment? Look at your current list of topics and look at the one that has the least population.
Okay.
And then email me and let me know what that least population is. And then find out if there's another group or target market called Asian women or Asian women professionals, is what I would prefer.
Okay.
Asian women probably find in the Bay Area because most of them have money probably in the area. Right?
Yeah, probably too.
Probably do, right? So
yeah.
Look for that and give me those numbers and those categories, and then I'll give you next steps, okay, to do.
Okay. So let me do some research and then report back to you. How about that?
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's the way to do it. All right, Shaoli, man, my Chinese warrior. All right. Okay. Angeline, I would like a copy of your slide title, what we covered in this program last week. Okay, yes, I'll get that to you, Angeline. Give me 1 second. We capture that in existence here. Get curriculum to Angeline. In fact, what I think I'll put that as an attachment in the next recording email. Okay, fabulous. Thank you for that request. Patricia, where is the Google Analytic video? It doesn't show up in my inbox. Patricia, we've had this problem before. I'm not sure how to solve it because we did send it out a couple of times. I'm trying to see how we can send you that Google Analytic video without email. I tell you what, Patricia, if you can just search your inbox one more time, and when you search your inbox, use the keyword Google Analytic video and my email address and see if it shows up, because I'm pretty sure we sent it about 3 or 4 times out already. If not, check the previous email that we sent for the group class recordings, and it should be in there. Okay, I'm pretty sure we sent it out, so just check that, okay, Patricia?
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, we covered that. Covered that. It's better to, yep. Okay, live's better, yep. Okay, I showed you my marketing calendar, and it's great. Covered that. Okay. Okay, Shaoli, how about the VA in Philippines, how to contact them? You know, Shaoli, there's so many of them. It's overwhelming. The real question should be, how do you select the best ones? But if you do a search for virtual admins Philippines, I guarantee you, I promise you, you'll find a whole listing of them. You'll find websites filled with them. You can even go on, I think it's guru.com. You get slightly better ones, like guru.com. And what's the other one that, it escapes my mind, but there's another website that helps you find contractors. It's a pretty famous one, and my mind is not coming up with it. But I promise you, if you do a search, you can probably find them. But the real thing is to find good ones. And this is what I do. I try to get referrals from my mastermind people that I work with. So when you have a budget, just reach out to me, and I'll try and find someone for you, or I'll direct your search a little better. Okay. Because the most important thing is to determine what skills they need, because you'll find a lot of them, and a lot of them will claim to have skills, but like a lot of really good well-meaning people, they over-exaggerate what they can really do. Next question, regarding webinar, which day of the week and time is good to host a webinar? Again, this has varied, and we have seen quite a range depending on your audience, but generally speaking, for professionals, evening is better for obvious reasons, because they're working in the daytime. For professionals, Saturday mornings can work, 10 a.m. But as you grow a larger audience, you can take a little bit more liberal attitudes with weekend webinars. But for smaller groups, it tends to be more difficult to round up people for a weekend webinar.
Okay.
So Wednesdays, we've had success for Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Or 11 a.m. That tends to work pretty well. Tuesdays, same thing, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Events, webinars at 7 p.m. sometimes work for the Pacific crowd, but your Eastern crowd, if you have people on the East Coast, they're going to be upset at you. This problem has become more acute for us because we have people in Germany who've been complaining about the 4 o'clock time because it's too early in the morning for them. And our folks in Australia have almost created a rebellion and not shown up. But we're trying to work through that. It's really a kind of a tough problem to manage. But the best way we found to do it is experiment with times and pick the best times. Over time, we'll figure it out. Okay. I come from that ilk where hey, don't worry about the problem, just figure it out, test it out, see what works. Otherwise, you spend too much time worrying. All right, let's see. I'm open to looking at what you have as a copywriter. Oh yeah, so Josephine is open to you, Patricia, and that might be money well spent. So reach out to Josephine. All right. And thank you very much, Josephine. Jose, that's a very kind comment. These calls rock. Thanks for giving us awesome value. Love this group. Yeah, you're welcome. Upworks, Amanda Fuel. What is Upworks, Amanda? Just, I think I know what that is, but just let us know by chat, maybe. Jiali, okay, so I'll email. Okay, great. Okay, Amanda jumped off. You guys can check Upwork. I think I did check it a while back. I think it's, I don't remember what it is. I'm not going to make an assumption. Oh, Upwork is for people to find people who are admins, etc. Freelancer, Fiverr. Yep. There's another one, and I don't remember what it is, but it'll come to me at some point. Okay. So I think we are at 5:16. So we've got about 15 minutes here. If you have any more remaining questions, feel free to pop those questions. I know some of you are running off to other appointments. It's fine. So while you're typing in other questions, quick tip for this week, set up a LinkedIn group with the same name as your most popular meetup group. So if your meetup group is Bay Area Leads and Networking Group, create the same name as a LinkedIn group under your profile account on LinkedIn. And now what this does is it creates more Google visibility for you, because Google loves LinkedIn, loves Meetup as well. It's a very simple thing to do. You can probably do it in 5 minutes and you're done. What I would recommend is post some articles in there, and then plan on posting at least once a month using the marketing calendar. And that creates more traffic over time. I wouldn't post more often until you get more build up or more of a ramp up for now. But you can do that. And then cross-link to your Meetup group or cross-link to your website from the LinkedIn group articles. And then start inviting people in your area to join this LinkedIn group, and then post your events and your link to your Meetup event on the LinkedIn group. And that creates another channel that over time will grow for you, okay? On LinkedIn, you have to be very personable. So when you invite people to join the group, make sure that you send them a personable note for now, okay? And then as you grow it and you get more of a name, then you can do it in a more scalable fashion. But that's how I would do it for now. All right, great. Let's see some questions here. Okay, Lance is now upwards.com. Oh, I see. Okay, everyone, that's Elance. That's right. Elance is now upwards.com. Okay, great. Thanks for, I think that's what I was talking about, elance.com. Great. So that's another resource to find admins. Those of you who are budget, a little budget limited, don't be too afraid of that, because I would entertain maybe starting an admin at maybe 1 hour, even 1 hour, 2 or 3 or 5 hours a week. But just make sure you have clearly identified projects and tasks and practices for them to do. So when I do my train the admin, or I also do a program where I help people set up systems, and it's a little bit more expensive program and a lot more involved, but one of the first things we do is we help identify practices, projects, mostly practices and projects. So practices are things that you do regularly that can be automated. Projects are things that you may do once in a while or just one time, but you have to really define these. Like, what are your expectations very clearly? You have to define them in terms of numbers, timelines. So you have to make it very, very, very super clear. The more super clear you make it, the much better you'll work with the admins and create a better system. Okay, it doesn't have to be admins, by the way. It could be electrical stuff, electronics. It could be software. It could be a lot of other things that you can use. Okay, I think I covered all the questions. If I haven't, please let me know soon before we end the call. Let's see here. So next steps again. I know in the last week, a couple of you have set up joint ventures with other people in the group. I know Cami and Julie and a couple other people are working together. That's really great. It's really awesome to watch you guys doing that. And then if you hear people on this call that you want to be matched with, let me know and I'll make introductions. Try to listen to the call and get clear if those people are a match for you before I do, and get their name clearly too, if you can. That'll be really great. If your meetups are not producing numbers, let us know, because we really want to work with you, make sure that works. And then keep coming to the group calls and listening to the recordings, okay? That's imperative to do, because there's so much great stuff on this. It's like you're getting on this call, so much great stuff in here. And so I really invite you to keep coming to the group calls. It's better to do it live, so you don't have to schedule a time to listen to the recording, and can just handle it right there and then. If you have any questions, especially. Okay, let's see. I have another comment coming in here. All right. Yeah. All right. Great. So I know some of you have to get going. It's really great. Again, in the last remaining, if you have any questions, make sure you enter in right away before we end. I'm going to end in about a few seconds here, maybe. So I know some of you have been referring me. Great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. For now, we're actually going to do away with the free consultations entirely. But just for you guys, if you want to just use the link for meetupchat.com, if you want to, if you know somebody wants to learn how to do meetups, etc., they can use meetupchat.com to do that. And I'm trying my best to fill up events, times there, and I've been running out, actually, be honest with you. But like I said, if you want to do that in the next week, that's fine. But after that, we'll probably be moving to a paid consultation. And then some of you indicated an interest in Train Your Admin program for Meetup or LinkedIn, where we train your admins to do it. Do the work for Meetup or LinkedIn outreach. You can email me if you're interested in doing that, okay? And then we're on same time next week, 4 p.m. Wednesday Pacific time. And just if you can give me some feedback, how this program was, and how the call was, etc. Let me know. That would be really great. Thank you very much, Patricia. It's really great. Thanks for your comments. Xiaoli, thanks for your comments as well. And thanks, Rosie, and thanks everybody else who commented. I can't go through everyone's names here, but I appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much. And I think that's pretty much it. You guys have a great week ahead, and we will talk soon. And well, that's it. Have a great, successful week. All right. And all right, Josephine, let us know how you can. Well, yeah, referrals and anything like that will be great. So if you know people who, and I'm offering a half-day session now too. A lot of people have been coming to me, Josephine, and answering a question because they're really interested in working with me more deeply, and they have more complicated visions. So we know people who are looking to really expand beyond like just San Jose, maybe even. Let me know, and I'll be. And then it's a paid session, obviously. But what I do is a money-back guarantee for that session, and also if they can apply the cost of that half-day session towards any future programs that they buy from me. So a pretty cool deal. So that's how you can support me. And if you know any visionaries, I love working with visionaries, Jose. Love working with them. I don't know why. It's kind of like a duh for me. I love working with everyone that comes in my sphere. I really do. All you guys are fantastic to work with. And visionaries especially would be really great if you know someone like that, okay? Okay, really awesome. You guys have a great week, and I will talk to you soon, and take care.